Well, it finally happened. Not only did we get a new, admittedly short trailer for the game formerly known as Breath of the Wild 2, but we also got the name. Welcome to The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. There was a lot that they showed in this minute-and-a-half trailer, so let's get started breaking everything down. The first image that we see is one of a new individual who I personally believe is a new deity that we haven't seen in previous games, or at least one that we haven't seen in person, but more on that later. Strangely, this character is shown with several inhuman features, starting with its ears, which are rather long. The designs on the forehead and neck are also very similar to the architecture of the Sky Islands that we've been teased with since the very first trailer for the game, heavily implying and even confirming that whoever this is the leader of the people group responsible for this ancient architecture and these hieroglyphic-like drawings. The next shot we're shown, which is assumedly also on the same wall as the mysterious individual, is that of a battle. We can see the familiar moblins and even bokoblins, which are shown to be sporting their new, longer horns, battling against a race of human-like people with revealing symbols on their shields, which we have not seen before. Presumably, these people are none other than the mysterious race, which most people are hoping will end up being the Zonai, and there is some pretty good evidence for it featured later in this trailer. We know that this battle is one from an age gone by because we have no record of this people group and whatever conflict is happening here, and because the bokoblins' appearances are different, with horns that are different from what they had in the first game. Because of this shot right here, I'm now decently convinced that the Hyrule we're seeing with these long-horned bokoblins is Hyrule in the distant past, although I haven't worked out a complete theory on that just yet. You'll also notice that these moblins and bokoblins are walking within spreading malice on the ground, heavily implying that these monsters that we've been battling in Breath of the Wild are in fact made of malice, which is also proven by the Blood Moon cutscene. Next, we are shown a wider shot of the mysterious individual that opened the trailer, surrounded by what appears to be floating symbols that we commonly associate with the Zonai, and some unknown writing on the bottom left. The deity seems to be positioned atop a floating island, which makes sense given all the other floating islands we see in the sky. As the shot pans up, we can see that there are 7 of these stones, and as Zelda fans know by heart, 7 is the number of sages that were responsible for sealing Ganon away. Now we have to wonder how exactly this ancient civilization and this particular deity are possibly connected to the sages of legend. The next shot is especially mysterious. It shows a girl with pointed ears seemingly being either sacrificed or otherwise lifted upward into the sky, with what looks to be malice underneath. The same individual is then shown cupping hands with somebody else, someone whose hand is larger with bracelets adorning the wrist. If you'll recall, we've seen this hand before. This is the exact hand of the new deity, complete with the larger fingers and the bracelet, who could also be none other than the green hand shown off in the very first trailer. Above them, just out of sight, is potentially 2 more of these symbolic stones, positioned together in a way that mimics the sun. It's also noteworthy that this girl shown cupping hands here is the same girl that was shown previously levitating upward, with the same pointed ears, long flowing hair, and dress. This can only be assumed to be Zelda, but the problem is the Zelda that we know of does not have longer hair anymore, so this is either a prophecy about our Zelda, or it's a previous one, maybe even the first one, but more on that later. Immediately following this shot is one of our familiar hero, Link, sporting the new shield shown in the previous trailer, opening a giant stone door into this sky world, or Skyrule as I like to call it. This door is adorned with symbology as well. There is most notably the giant circular twin dragon-like symbol positioned front and center that also appears once again at the end of the trailer as the logo for the game. On the circle is more mysterious writing that was shown previously on the wall. Most intriguingly though is the eye symbol that Link touches in order to open the door. This could be representative of his eyes opening to the new world, or it could, as most fans know, be a form of the Sheikah eye symbol, which further strengthens the theory that this ancient race and the Sheikah are connected. Also, it's notable that not only are the twin dragons shown to be in a circular pattern, but this also seems to mimic the cupping hands shown between Zelda and the deity, implying that they are twins. Once Link opens the doors, we are greeted with the knowledge that he is already on a sky island. He then sprints forward, giving us a better view of the empty shrine located directly in front of him. The camera then abruptly cuts to a backward angle of Link sprinting, but it's clearly a different setting than what we were just shown, since the giant doors he just opened are not visible, and the ground now features much more plant life. The camera swoops around Link, showing off some structures located behind him that features some sort of buildings on top, as well as a giant cliff and another floating mini island, which has trees and some other structures present. Once the camera shows what's in front of Link, we then see more sky islands and a particular giant structure directly ahead off in the distance. This structure has a layered design pattern that seems to call back to the design of the mysterious deity shown at first. Perhaps it is the temple where this individual is located. We are shown many other sky islands in the distance, but it's presently impossible to tell what's exactly going on with each one of them, so we'll move on for now. Link then dives headfirst off the island he was on, showcasing once again the highlight of the upcoming title, which is Ascension and Descension between two worlds. As Link dives through the clouds, you can then dimly see the familiar landscape of Hyrule underneath. We are then shown Link jumping onto and clinging to a slab of rock within the Faron jungle region that appears to have fallen down from Skyrule, which he then uses his new powers to reverse through time and return to its original position, using this to ascend. This slab of rock also appears to be associated with these mysterious stone fragments in the water on Hyrule's surface, also giving heavy implications to the ancient race being Zonai, which are the people responsible for the stone fragments scattered throughout the area. The next shot is back to Link, but as lots of fans are speculating, potentially another Link from another time. It's very peculiar that they still show this Link with long hair and rudimentary gear, as opposed to this Link with the extremely familiar and more modern Hylian gear. This long-haired Link is shown to be climbing Sky Islands, but everything is dark, implying that either this is night or that this is somehow under the ground. Also, he's climbing up a root of a tree, implying that it was once under the ground, meaning that these Sky Islands may not have always been in the sky. The next and final shot of the trailer is also one of the most telling. We see Blue Link diving down to Hyrule, but this is clearly Hyrule after Ganondorf has already raised the castle, which is spewing a new deadly form of malice that's also shown to be spewing out of Death Mountain. Perhaps malice is now corrupting lava as well as water like it did in the first game. As Link falls, we can see more small islands scattered around as well as a giant one in the distance. And we can also see more of the ancient rune drawings also present underneath Hyrule Castle. Link then proceeds to land on an upgraded, much bigger glider that he can actually kneel and ride on top of instead of hanging onto the underside. And we know that he'll still be using a new version of the classic glider from the previous trailer, so this seems to be a much more hardy glider that he'll use simply to glide more quickly in order to cover much more ground, since he'll be able to glide anywhere in Hyrule after jumping down from Skyrule. Link then appears to be heading towards a mountain, and the name is escaping me currently, but it's a familiar one that now also has this ancient runic drawing on it. I'm not sure if this means that these are the only spots Link will be able to land, or if it implies some sort of event happening at these marked locations, but either way, Link is clearly heading towards it. Lastly, as Link glides towards the marked mountain, we can see the familiar circle dragon logo form out of the green ancient energy as the logo fades in, and we're blatantly shown who Zelda was cupping hands with right behind the words. It is none other than the deity that we saw at the first. Now, this is the end of the trailer, but I have a theory that I'd like to present before wrapping up that has some very strong implications of being true. As we can see, there are many similarities between the new deity and who I'm presuming is Zelda. They both have long ears, triangular markings under the eyes, circular patterns that look like jewelry adorning their bodies, and they're heavily implied to be symbolic of the twin dragons that equal one another. It could be that due to this deity sporting long ears and the ancient people serving it, that this is none other than the goddess Hylia herself and her original Hylian race. Or perhaps the original Sheikah race, or perhaps a combination of both called the Zonai. This added to the fact that this deity's green energy can be used to repair the Master Sword makes me think that it must mean that we are returning to the original Hylia before the events of Skyward Sword, and that she will be able to repair her sword, her goddess blade, with her green energy, and perhaps that Green Link is the original hero. And perhaps Hylia's tears for her kingdom will finally be explained. And the reason why Nintendo considered it a spoiler is because we will finally know why the Sheikah symbol is an eye with a tear. But that's just a theory, one that needs to be fleshed out more, but I'm pretty sure is more or less accurate. What did you guys think of the trailer? Are you happy with the new name, Tears of the Kingdom? Let me know in the comments below. I am beyond stoked for this game and will likely be covering it more, so be sure to leave a like on this video to spread it around, and subscribe if you haven't already to stick around for so much more. Follow me on my socials, and that's all I've got for this one. This is Bandit, signing out. Peace!